The Z-Rope commander said no one could make that shot. Then she shot 3 enemy generals in the head. 24-year-old Staff Sergeant Nicole Hayes crouched behind the rocky ledge, adjusting the scope of her Barrett M62 sniper rifle for the 100th time. Her jet black hair was tied in a tight bun under the hood of her camouflage uniform, her emerald green eyes fixed on the target area 1,335 yards away through the high-powered optics. To the SEAL team positioned around her, she looked like just another Army sniper providing covering fire from above. What they didn't know was that Sergeant Nicole Hay was about to attempt the most impossible shot in modern military history. But Staff Sergeant Nicole Hayes was anything but ordinary. For 5 years, she had been the Army's best-kept secret. A sniper whose accuracy defied physics and whose kill list was classified at levels that officially didn't exist. She earned her call sign Shadow after eliminating 26 high-value targets in a single mission without ever being detected. Marine Scout snipers called her a legend. Army Rangers spoke of her in whispers, and even Delta Force operators showed respect when her name was mentioned. But today, she worked with Navy SEALs who had no idea they were in the presence of the military's deadliest precision shooter. Nicole's background was as unique as her shooting skills. Born into a family of engineers in Boston, she inherited an almost supernatural understanding of mathematics and physics. Her father, Dr. William Hayes, was a ballistics engineer working on advanced weapon systems, while her mother, Professor Catherine Hay, taught applied physics at MIT. Nicole had grown up calculating trajectories and understanding the complex mathematics that governs missile motion. Today's mission should have been a simple reconnaissance operation. Intelligence had identified a high-level meeting of enemy commanders at a fortified complex deep in enemy territory. The mission parameters were simply observe and report. The target building was located on a degree nearly 3,200 yards from the nearest concealed position, well beyond the effective range of a standard sniper engagement. No shots were to be fired. This was strictly a surveillance operation to gather intelligence on the enemy command structure. Commander Blake Reaper Thompson, the SEAL team leader, had been skeptical from the start about including a female Army sniper in their reconnaissance mission. Thompson was a 17-year veteran with 3 bronzers and a reputation for preferring to work exclusively with target personnel. SEALs had their own snipers, their own methods, and their own standards. Involving external personnel always complicated operational security and team dynamics, but the orders from Admiral James Mitchell himself had been clear. Staff Sergeant Hay was to accompany the mission as the primary long-range observation specialist. Her personnel file, the little Thompson had been allowed to review, showed standard Army sniper qualifications and routine assignments. Nothing that explained why a Navy admiral would personally share a classified target reconnaissance operation with an Army sergeant. Hay quietly called Commander Thompson as he moved toward her position. "What is her assessment of the target area?" Nicole continued to study the complex through her scope, noting defensive positions, guard rotations, and structural weaknesses with the methodical precision of someone who had done this hundreds of times before. 3 main buildings. The main building appears to be the assembly point. Heavy security presence, approximately 26 enemy visible in perimeter patrol patterns. Any sign of the high-value targets we're supposed to identify. Negative on visual confirmation of specific individuals, but thermal imaging indicates multiple heat signatures concentrated on the upper floor of the main building. A meeting is definitely underway. I estimate 12 to 10 people inside. Commander Thompson nodded and moved to coordinate with his team of forward observers. The target unit consisted of 8 operators, all veterans of multiple combat tours in Iraq, Afghanistan, and classified operations in other theaters of operations. They had been observing the complex for 3 hours, documenting personnel movements, communication patterns, and security protocols. Thompson's expression immediately shifted from routine surveillance mode to high-level tactical assessment. 3 enemy generals represented targets of enormous strategic value. Maximum effective ranges of 102 to 1,900 yards under perfect conditions. At 3,200 yards, environmental factors such as wind patterns, humidity fluctuations, and bullet drop made accurate shooting by conventional military standards virtually impossible. Nicole continued to observe through her scope, but she also listened attentively to the target team's tactical discussion. Her advanced optics and laser range-finding equipment gave her a crystal-clear view of the target building. More importantly, she could see 3 men in distinctive enemy generals' uniforms standing near large windows on the upper floor of the building, animatedly discussing what appeared to be tactical maps. "Sir, negative on close approach," Thompson said into his radio. "Range is prohibitive for effective engagement. We'd have to approach within at least 800 jaws, which would compromise our cover and almost certainly trigger their perimeter security responses." Nicole was making calculations in her head that the targeting team couldn't see. The wind speed at ground level was 11 millimeters from the northwest, but her meteorological training told her that wind patterns would be different at altitude. The air density was lower than standard due to her elevation. The temperature was 61 F with 33% humidity, conditions that would affect the projectile's trajectory in specific, predictable ways. Commander Thompson spoke quietly to Nicole, her voice carrying an undertone of absolute confidence. "I have visual Bissarin action on 3 high-value targets. Enemy generals, upper floor, northwest-facing windows. Range 3,244 yards. Thompson crawled over to her position and peered through his own observation scope, squinting to make out the distant figures. "I see them, Lord God. They're completely out in the open over there, but they might as well be on another planet. No conventional weapon system can reach them at that range." Nicole made a decision that would not only define her military career, but potentially change the strategic balance of the entire conflict. "Sir, I can eliminate all 3 targets." Commander Thompson looked at her with a mixture of surprise, skepticism, and the kind of professional assessment that comes from 10 years of assessing impossible tactical situations. "Hey, that's over 3,200 yards. The world record for confirmed sniper kill is 3,475 yards, and that was achieved under perfect conditions with multiple zeroing shots in ideal weather conditions. You're talking about 3 separate precision shots at extreme range against human-sized targets. I understand the distance and the tactical requirements, sir." Thompson's experience told him that was fantasy, but something in Nicole's voice, a calm certainty he'd heard only from the most elite operators, stopped him in his tracks. "Do you understand the physics involved? At that range, they're dealing with bullet drop of over 100 inches, wind deflection that could knock their shots off by several feet, atmospheric pressure fluctuations, and environmental factors that change every second. My best sniper, a guy who's been shooting professionally for 13 years, wouldn't attempt that shot." Nicole looked through her scope again. Her mind automatically calculated factors that standard military doctrine didn't even consider. Coriolis effect caused by the Earth's rotation. Damage. Microscopic drift caused by projectile rotation. Temperature gradients at different altitudes. Barometric pressure fluctuations that would affect the air density along the projectile's trajectory. "Sir, with respect. Your sniper uses conventional techniques for conventional ranges," Nicole said calmly. "This requires unconventional methods." Thompson stared at her for a long moment. In his 16 years with the SEALs, he had worked with some of the world's most elite marksmen. Marine Corps scout snipers, Army Special Forces snipers, even CIA paramilitary specialists. None of them would have claimed to be able to make 3 consecutive precision shots against human targets at 3,200 yards. I say, that's not self-confidence, it's a mathematical impossibility. The probability calculations for hitting a human-sized target at that range, even once, approach 0. Nicole put down her scope and looked directly at the target commander with the calm gaze of someone who had done the impossible so many times that it had become routine. "Sir, I have something to show you." She reached into her tactical gear and pulled out a weatherproof notebook filled with handwritten calculations, diagrams, and firing data that looked more like advanced physics research than standard military documentation. Page after page of ballistic math, environmental compensation formulas, and precision shooting data, including variables most snipers had never considered. This documents every precision shot I've made over 2,000 yas. If you miss even on her finger, found the trigger with the smooth, steady pressure that distinguishes amateur shooters from deadly professionals. The bared trigger made a clean, crisp pull, one she'd tested thousands of times. Nicole exhaled exactly half of her breath and held it. She achieved the moment of perfect physiological stillness that made impossible shots achievable. The rifle fired with tremendous power. The 50 caliber SAT muzzle blast produced a signature that would be heard for miles. The massive bullet exited the muzzle at 3,910 feet per second and began a 2.3-second journey that would travel 2,244 yards while dropping over 520 inches and drifting 16 inches due to calculated wind conditions and the Coriolis effect. Through her scope, Nicole tracked the bullet impact with professional detachment and immediately shifted to lock on to the second target. General Kill had instinctively turned toward the sound of his colleague's body falling to the ground, offering a perfect profile for precision shooting. Nicole's second shot fired before the other generals could fully comprehend what was happening. The bullet struck General Kill in the head with surgical precision, and Nicole already locked on her third and most challenging target. General Al-Zerani began to move toward cover, realizing they were under sniper attack, but he was still partially visible through the window frame. Nicole's third shot was technically the most difficult, a moving target at extreme range, requiring predictive shooting that combined math, physics, and intuition. She guided the target by exactly the calculated amount, compensating for its speed of movement, direction, and the bullet's time of flight. The shot found its target with deadly precision. 3 shots, 3 confirmed kills. Total elapsed time, 12.3 seconds. Commander Thompson watched through his spotting scope in complete, stunned silence. All 3 enemy generals were down. Confirmed kills at a range that violated everything he understood about the limits of small arms effectiveness and human shooting ability. "Damn incredible," Chief Williams whispered, his voice filled with awe. "She actually did it. 3 out of 3. Nicole was already dismantling her firing position with the efficient movements of someone who'd done it many times before. Enemy security forces would react within minutes, and her position would be completely compromised. Confirmed elimination of all 3 high-value targets, Nicole reported calmly into her radio. "Recommend immediate tactical withdrawal to Extraction Point Alpha." Commander Thompson was still processing what he had just witnessed. In his 10 years of special operations, he had never seen shooting that defied the basic laws of physics and probability theory. How the hell did you manage those shots?" Nicole smiled as she secured her rifle in its tactical case. "Physics, sir, applied math, and lots of practice." The target team began their extraction route, moving quickly through terrain that would mask their retreat from the target area. Behind them, the enemy compound erupted into chaos as security forces discovered the bodies of their 3 highest-ranking commandos. As they moved through the rocky hills toward their extraction point, Commander Thompson caught up with Nicole during a brief tactical pause. I need to know who you really are. That shooting was impossible, and you made it look routine." Nicole looked at the target commander with the calm confidence of someone who had just changed the course of a war. "Sir, officially, I'm Staff Sergeant Nicole Hay, an Army sniper providing reconnaissance support. And unofficially? Unofficially, I'm the reason enemy commandos don't sleep well at night." Thompson nodded slowly. "What is your actual classification level?" "Above your rating, sir." "With respect." Thompson smiled, justly enough, despite everything, "but I want you to know what you did today was the most incredible shooting I've ever witnessed." "Thank you, sir." "One more question. What is your actual longest confirmed kill?" Nicole considered the question carefully. "Sir, this information is classified, but let's just say today wasn't my personal record." 3 months later, intelligence reports confirmed that the elimination of the 3 enemy generals had completely collapsed organized resistance in the region. Without her strategic leadership, enemy forces were fragmented into ineffective local groups that posed no significant threat to coalition operations. Staff Sergeant